Hey, welcome back, guys. May 4th, Wait a minute. May 4th? May the 4th be with you. This is a video lesson for the group Denominators. Hopefully you had a nice weekend. We're able to get outside and get some sun. We're back at it. Another week, online instruction. Now, before we get into our lesson today, you have a completed STEM fair project that is due on Thursday. So in trying to give you as much time and kind of understanding, you do not have any new IXL lessons or a problem of the week this week. I'm hoping that you can use the time that you would normally spend on your IXL lessons and your problem of the week, and you can dedicate that time to your STEM fair project to really make them stellar. So let's get into today's lesson. We are talking about solving compound inequalities. So we learned about inequalities last week. We worked with inequalities before. Now they're going to be compound. Now a compound inequality just means that there are two separate inequalities that are joined together by either the words and or. So and or. Okay, so we are going to look at sort of how we do this. Okay, and we're going to start real slow, and I'm going to go through a couple different examples today, and they're going to kind of get more complicated as we go. So the first one says translate the verbal phrase into an inequality. It says equality. That should say inequality. That's just great. So that should say inequality. Great. Okay. So I'll get back to my pen. So all real numbers that are greater than -2 and less than 3. So if I were going to do this, I would write my inequality as -2 is less than x and less than 3. So it would look like this. I said less than, I meant greater than. Let me start over. It says -2, greater than -2. So that would be greater than, good. Okay, I got it right. And less than 3, good. So this would be my inequality. Forgive me if I misspoke. Now, how do you graph that? Okay, so when you graph that, you would still use your number line. Okay, wow, mine had a nice dip. That's cool, that's cool. I would have my 0. Okay, and I would have -1, -2, and then on my other side, I would have 1. I'm just going to go out to 2 and 3. Okay, so what I would do is, because x is greater than -2 and less than 3, I would do a open end on here, an open end on the 3, and I would draw my line to connect the two. Okay, so what I just did is I just graphed this compound inequality. Now, this is using the word and to include both of them. What happens if you use the word or? Okay, so it says greater than 0 or, less than 0 or greater than or equal to 2. Okay, so in this case, you would actually not have them touching. It's going to do one. It's going to do one or the other. Okay, so again, I would write this. Let me change my color. I would write this as x is less than 0. Okay, and or in this case it would be or x is greater than or equal to 2. So when I would graph this, again, I would have my number line. I would have my 0, and I would have my 1, and I would have my 2. And I could keep going my number line, but you know it keeps going 3, 4, 5. And then on this side, I have -1, -2. Now, because this is just x is less than 0, I would have 0, and I would have it open-ended because there's no equal to. and I would draw my line, okay? Because it would be less than. Now, this says it would be x is greater than or equal to 2. So I would do my dot, and I would fill it in, and it's going to go in the opposite direction, okay? And what I've just done is I've just explained this inequality. It can be this or that, okay? It can be x is less than 0. There you go. It's shown here. Or it can be x is greater than or equal to 2. So here it's equal to 2, and here it's showing everything greater than 2. Now, we can do it another way as well, okay? If I have this problem, this is a compound inequality. It says 2 is less than x plus 5 less than 9. Now, what I would do is I would break this up, okay? And I would use this x plus 5 for each one of these, okay? And it's going to give me 2 inequalities. So I would have 2 is less than x plus 5. So that would be my first one. And it would be x plus 5 is less than 9. So now I have these 2 inequalities. What I would do is I would solve these. I would solve for x. Okay, so in order to get x by itself, I'm going to subtract 5 by both sides. I'm going to subtract 5 from here. I'm going to subtract 5 from here. And what I'm left with is 2 minus negative 5 would give me negative 3. And I'm going to keep my sign because I did not I did not multiply or divide by a negative. And then over here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to subtract by 5 to get my x by itself. And if I do it on one side of the sign, I have to do it to the other. So now I'm left with x is less than 9 minus 5 would be 4. So now I have negative 3 is less than x, and x is less than 4. So I can graph this on my number line, okay? It's a much better number line than before, okay? And so what I would do is I would have my 0, and I would have 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my 4. And I would have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Here's my negative 3. And what I would do is because they are both open, because there's not equal to, so this would be open, and this would be open, and I would connect them. Congratulations, we just solved compound inequalities. How about that? Now, they are getting a little bit more complex as we work through some more, but I will be back tomorrow to explain some different compound inequalities. Today, I would like you to work on solving these, and your work is going to be, the assignment is going to be for both today and tomorrow. I believe there's 18 questions, so you can kind of spread them out so that you do a little bit each day. So maybe start with a little bit of the easier ones today, the first couple, and then we'll get back to it tomorrow and do a couple ones that might be a little bit more complex. Work hard, ask questions, and I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Thanks.